Now, there's a caveat here to some of the citizen development programs, which is while there are benefits, there are also limitations, right? And that is where the other aspect of it comes in, Drew, which you were speaking to about IT guardrails. Ultimately, while these tools are developing from a low code, no code paradigm and other paradigm perspective, we still need to recognize that for enterprise IT, there needs to be certain set of conditions which are fulfilled so that even an app which is developed doesn't break the whole IT estate, right? So which is where, having those guardrails in place, maybe there are certain standards, how, let's say, a particular app connects to certain databases, aspects of documentation, change management, all of these need to also come into play from a standard perspective. Otherwise, a citizen development program can go a little bit rogue, and that will hurt the overall program itself, right? So IT
Yeah,
guardrails definitely a must.
yeah, sure. Well, then,
Yeah, and if Drew, if I could add on to that
yeah,
point,
please.
that it's very important what Anil just said. Establishing guardrails around these programs are critical because again, something goes wrong in the citizen development space, it can taint an entire program. Um, and I guess what we did initially when we were starting was that was one of the first things we did was establish, what are we willing to work on and do in terms of automation, and how do we identify those things that we determine, hey, this is just beyond our capability of doing. We need somebody with a more advanced, coding background. This is going to get too complex for us to do, and we can hand that opportunity off to the right person, but it's establishing the guardrails
Right.
of what you're willing to work on. And then also, having that very close partnership with IT to ensure that whatever sort of governing rules or controls that they want in place, that you have those established, and ensure those are working. Um, the other thing I would say beyond the IT group is, at least in a financial services banking environment, there are, very high expectations from a governance perspective. We operate out of what we call a three lines of defense model, where the business is the first line of defense, and then second line is sort of like risk oversight, and then third line is your corporate audit function or internal audit function, if you will. What we did as we were building this program out was just ensuring that, not only were we going to play by IT's rules and their governance of what we were doing, but there's also, these risk governance groups that we need to at minimum inform what we're doing, but ensure we're playing by their rules as well.
Yeah.
And then you always want to inform your internal audit or corporate audit group to ensure that, they don't set the rules for you, but at least the last thing you want to do is surprise an audit group. You want them fully informed and understand what you're doing, because if they get surprised, generally,
Not a good thing.
bad things can happen.
Yeah.
So that's sort of some advice for individuals
Oh,
watching this webcast is, do not work at this in a silo. You've got to play by IT's rules, get them engaged. If you're in banking, financial services, you've got to engage your second and third line partners as well.